Hey YouTube. So today I want to talk about The Photograph, which is a love story that recently premiered on Valentine's Day. And I went and saw it yesterday, and I just wanted to talk about it real quick before it escapes my memory. But I was excited about this movie because we don't often see Black love stories, unfortunately. There's a lot more emphasis on period pieces, movies about struggle like the civil rights movement or some type of racism or crime usually. So it's very rare that we see movies that are about something a little bit more light and more loving. So The Photograph is a love story written and directed by Stella McGee, and she is from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. She is a newcomer to the scene, but she has 3 movies under her belt. So this is her first major feature film, and I think she did a really good job with this movie. So the cast. The main cast is Issa Rae. She plays May. Lakeith Stanfield, he plays Michael. Shantae Adams, she plays Christina. And Elon Noel, he plays young Isaac. Rob Morgan, he plays older Isaac. And Rob Morgan was in The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Also, Little Rel Howery, who plays Kyle, and Tiana Paris, who plays Asia. So these are the main cast. And Rob Morgan was in The Last Black Man in San Francisco. I meant to do a review of that movie, but it never happened. But that was a really good movie if you guys have time to see it. So this is the main cast, and I think the casting was really good. Like, I don't think leading lady when I think of Issa Rae, and I don't think leading man when I think of Lakeith Stanfield. But I think that I really enjoy like unconventional casting because you look forward to seeing the movie and seeing people who you wouldn't think of playing these roles. I enjoyed seeing them do something different. And Lakeith Stanfield is actually really attractive. Like, seeing him in this light, I see him in a different light, and he definitely was like really attractive. And Issa was gorgeous. Like, Issa has always been gorgeous. I think her smile is beautiful. Her skin is beautiful. Her hair color just really complements her skin tone. And I think that they together were pretty believable, and I liked them. Like, the chemistry seemed real. They seemed like a real couple, and it wasn't like a super attractive guy with a super attractive girl and, like that cliche. It was more so like your everyday girl from around the way with your everyday guy from around the way. And I loved that. They were like regular, relatable people. Issa, her whoever styled her in this movie did a wonderful job. Whoever was doing her hair, I think her hairstylist is Felicia Leatherwood. She did an amazing job. She has a brush, this side note, sorry, that is really good if you guys have natural hair and you need a good brush. But her brush is available, okay? Anyway, so The Photograph is, like I said, a Black love story, and we don't often see Black love stories. And I feel like present day, we get a lot of like attention and activists or like people who speak out, and they're on television. They preach this message of wealth building and economics, and that's amazing. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I personally believe that you can't have anything without love. You can't have anything without self-acceptance. So just on my everyday, because I live in a Black community my whole life, what I see lacking is definitely wealth. It's definitely economic stability, and education is just not up to par with the rest of the country, like the rest of the majority. But what I feel like is so lacking in my daily life, not mine personally, but what I'm seeing surrounding me, is love and self-acceptance. And I don't think that that message is being pushed enough as Black love and Black self-acceptance. And what is Black love? It's not just romantic love. It's truly loving your community, looking out for your community, having connection, building connection and relationships with people in your community. And getting together and having healthy, stable relationships. And that's something that you have to work at. It's through trial and error. And people want to have that image of perfection, and oh, we get together and we get married and we have children. Like, okay, but there's no one right way to do it, but there is a way to do it that is going to build a healthy community. So I feel like love is such a message that is important and necessary to be pushed. And I have a video on my channel where I talk about books about love. And, you know, I'm like, I do like Bell Hooks, and I think her books are important, but Bell Hooks is she's a little extra with her feminism. So, I mean, that message is not going to resonate with everybody, but I just think there is a lot to be learned through her trilogy books on love, and just reading books about love, or just loving, just trying to come from a place of kindness and love towards your neighbor, towards your community. I think that that message is not often presented to us. So this movie coming out on Valentine's Day is so, to me, important, because it's lighthearted, it's joyous, it's happy, it's something that's we're not gonna walk away and be triggered by or be upset by. So we need more lighthearted, loving stories that aren't pushing stereotypical messages to us. So The Photograph was a refreshing movie that is present, modern, and not a period piece or something that is tragic or traumatic. But I still think people should see If Beale Street Could Talk, because that is a love story, that is a period piece. I just really am so happy that The Photograph came out, because it's a little bit less intense, and just I walked away smiling and feeling good. So my expectations for this movie were not high, because it's a love story. Like, you are only going to be entertained so much. I wasn't expecting to go in there being to be entertained, or I mean, obviously we go to movies to be entertained, but I wasn't going like, oh, make me laugh and action and drama. Like, no, you go see romantic love stories to just have that like that, just like breath of fresh air. So that's what I took away from it. It was just a breath of fresh air. And if I haven't mentioned, this story is by Stella McGee. I think I did mention that, but she is a newcomer to the industry, and I think she did a really good job. I read an article of hers, and she mentioned like Love and Basketball, Love Jones. Like, we don't get to see that enough. So I think this movie is on par with those movies. And it's definitely something that I will watch again. It's just like a beautiful, refreshing love story. So what is the story about? Okay, let's just get into it. So May and Michael meet because Michael is doing a piece on her mother, Christina, who is a photographer, or who was a photographer, because she ended up passing away from cancer. She did not mention that she was sick to May, her daughter. And so May is trying to pick up the pieces and put things together. And Christina became a successful photographer because May, it seemed like she was brought up and was successful in her own right. She was a curator. She is a curator. And Michael is a writer. So they meet. Michael, the movie starts off with a video of Christina talking, and then Michael being in Louisiana. And that's where Isaac lives, who is twist. I'm going to reveal it. Who is actually May's father. So I knew that was her father. I was like, this guy looks more like her. Even though these are not really people related. But I kind of, in the back of my mind, was like, that's her dad. So Michael interviews Isaac. And in like one of the first few scenes, Isaac reveals to Michael that he lived a life of regret for not being with Christina, for not following her, for not putting his pride aside and being with the woman who he truly loved. So that was like one of the major themes in this movie, was live your life without regrets, especially with love, because that's one of the ones where people are just too afraid to put their pride aside and to do whatever it takes to be with someone. So also another theme was communication, because there was a lack of communication, and I'll get back to that. So Michael and May meet, and it seemed like the chemistry was just there from the beginning. He seemed really smitten by her, and she seemed like she was into him too. And when he would get around her, he kind of seemed a little flustered, like didn't know what to say. And so they meet up, or he sees her at like the screening. He was kind of like distracted, and he just kept looking at her. And so they set up a date. They go out on a date, and this scene was so cute. They go out on the date, and they discuss with one another how they don't know what to do on first dates. First dates are so awkward. Like, are you honest, or are you vulnerable? And that was interesting, because I think a lot of people struggle with that. Like, you go out on the first date with somebody you don't know well. You're like, do I tell them who I am? Do I wear a mask? And it seemed like with them two, they weren't wearing a mask. Like, guards were down. They kissed each other at the first date, on the first date. So they seemed really into one another. May, it was a hurricane. So eventually the weather was taking a turn for the worse, and he helped her pack up some stuff to go, I believe, to her mother's house. And they were connecting through music, Al Green music. They had an intimate moment together. That was funny, because there was no 90-day rules or nothing. It's just like the energy felt right, so they decided to do it. Then they go to his brother's house, and his brother Kyle felt like Michael rushed into things. Kyle was just like, take your time, you just got out of something. And that was something that both May and Michael were just recently ending relationships with people. They were both interested in each other, and it was like, why wait? Why wait? We really like each other. Why not pursue this and see what happens? Michael interviews for a job in London, and he gets the job. And I know I'm skipping over a lot here, but I don't really want to like retell the whole movie. It kind of was like a mirror to Issa's. It was like a mirror like experience between Christina and Isaac and Michael and May. Michael got the job in London, and like I mentioned before, communication was lacking in Christina and Isaac's relationship. They were both impatient, too prideful, and Michael and May kind of were learning from that lost love that Christina and Isaac experienced. So when Michael got the job in London, he wasn't completely honest and upfront with May, but he eventually told her. They decided that they were not going to be practical, and that they were going to try to make their love work. So communication is so very important in love. Two people definitely need to be open and expressive with one another, and tell each other what you truly feel, what you are truly thinking. That's where Christina and Isaac went wrong. She was not about to sit in Louisiana and stay there for the rest of her life. And Michael was like, I want a wife and children. And her Christina's mother passed away, so she had to come back to Louisiana. And he was married with, he married another woman within 3 months. He was impatient, and Christina just left abruptly and did not say anything to him. So she had a lack of patience. They were just both like, you know, really wanted to be with each other, but just could not put their pride aside. Isaac did not follow Christina, and Christina's daughter, May, like I mentioned before, Isaac was her real father. But even when Christina went back 4 years later to sell her mother's house, she didn't tell Isaac that he was May's father. So it was just fear. Like, the fear got to both of them. They were just both so afraid and full of pride. And Christina made a life for herself in New York and never told May until after she passed that Isaac was her real father. So May felt like Christina and her lacked an emotional connection. But Christina had emotions. She just wasn't good at expressing them. And that was explored in the movie, about how her emotions just, like, she just wasn't good at opening up to people and telling them how she really felt. Elon and Christina, I love their love story in this movie, set in the late 80s in Louisiana, which I'm going to Louisiana next month. I don't care. I'm going. I've never been before. I love the South. The South is in my blood. First of all, my family's from the South. I'm not from Louisiana, but they're from Georgia. And I love the South. Like, if I could move to the South, I would. I just love the warmth. I love the food, the culture. That's where my culture is from, the South. So I'm going to Louisiana. In that last scene where Issa, not the last scene, but one of the last scenes where she was in that yellow dress, oh my gosh, she looked stunning. She looked stunning in that yellow dress. They went and had drinks in that, like, cute Southern, I just love the South. That's why I like Queen and Slim too. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of the writing, but the visuals, being in Louisiana and just, or they were in Louisiana, but they were in like multiple. They were in Georgia, Savannah, Louisiana. They went to Florida. Like, it was just beautiful. And I think another thing I want to mention is the music. The music. Music can make or break a movie. And this movie had some wonderful music. When Hold On by The Internet came on, I was like, yep. I listen to that song every single day. Every day. I love that song. And then Shaka Khan, like the old school music. I think a Luther Vandross song might have played. 2 Shaka Khan songs. A Whitney Houston song. And I love that music. Even though that music came out a little bit before I was born. Favorite era of music, like the late 80s. But I just love all types of music, and I loved the music in this movie. So that's a highlight of this movie, is the music. So yeah, this was a beautiful, visually beautiful movie. This writing to me was good. I actually spoke to someone who saw the movie, and she said that her expectations were high and that it was a lot of awkward moments in the movie. But, you know, Issa is an awkward girl. Lakeith, he's not really awkward. Maybe he is. But maybe that was intentional. Maybe it was meant to be a little bit awkward and not perfect. And I had no expectations, again, because this is a love story. It's a romance movie. So I don't expect it to be like over the top, entertaining. Some people think love is boring. I personally don't. I love love. And I'm obsessed with love and love stories. So I think if you haven't, go see the movie. Why not? It's a beautiful love story, and it's a Black love story. And I think that's important, that we see more of Black love in real life, because that's really what's most important in real life. But maybe this will inspire people in real life. I think that's it. What did you think about the photograph if you saw it? I rate this movie a 9. I rated a 9, definitely 9, 9.5. So what do you rate the movie? What did you think of it? I would definitely see it again. Would you guys see it again? Yeah. Thank you for watching. Bye. And it's funny because I don't even like Valentine's Day. I don't. I don't care about Valentine's Day. This is also a little cute story time. So I never really celebrated Valentine's Day before until I was 21. And the person who I celebrated with did the absolute most without asking me what I wanted. Because I feel like Valentine's Day is about the woman, right? So then I didn't get him anything for Valentine's Day, and he was perturbed by me because I didn't buy him anything for Valentine's Day. So that did not sit well with me because, for one, I don't express my love through gifts. And that's another reason why I'm not really big on Valentine's Day. It's because I don't express my love through gifts. And I don't like surprises. I know I sound real difficult right now. I don't like surprises. If you're going to give me a gift, you need to ask me first if I want that item. I'm not the most romantic person in real life. So, but I'm very kind, and I love in general, not just romantic love. So that's why I'm not really big on Valentine's Day, because Valentine's Day is so much emphasis on being in a relationship and having a husband or a significant other, especially for women. Like, Valentine's Day is a sucky day for a lot of women who are not in a relationship, because there's so much emphasis on being validated by a man. And along with that, the capitalism aspect of having to buy a gift. And I never put that pressure on the person I was with. Never put that pressure. Never told him I wanted anything. I would have been happy with some chocolate. And I don't even really care about greeting cards, because here's my thing about greeting cards. You don't want to throw them away. So you keep all these greeting cards from 10 years ago. And it's like, I would rather somebody write me a love note, or write me their own special personalized message, or just even write me a letter. Like, I will keep that forever. But with the greeting cards, it's like, you are giving me a card, or, someone else's thoughts. I'm not saying I don't appreciate greeting cards. I always buy my mother a card for Mother's Day, my father a card for Father's Day. Sometimes I buy my siblings cards for their birthday, but the way I express my love is through acts of service, or it's through just being a kind person. And I know I'm sometimes not the kindest person, but we are all, imperfect in our own way. But that's why Valentine's Day just doesn't sit well with me. So that was a little story time. Actually don't really care about Valentine's Day.